On that note, though, we couldn't have been happier going to Broken Bow for our community. I think both of us can attest to the fact that it's a thriving community, and we had such a great time. We had an awesome lead mentor who's actually gone through the Serviceship before, so he kind of knew the ropes of it, and he was actually new to Custer County as well. He had been there for a week before we got there, so it was honestly kind of awesome to kind of learn with him, and we all three had fresh eyes coming into Custer County, so it was a really great experience being switched to Broken Bow.
Yeah, so our host team was really awesome when we arrived in Broken Bow. They put us up in the hospital intern housing, so we lived with a lot of different interns throughout the summer. Mainly we worked with city administration, Andrew Ambries. He was kind of the lead mentor, and he was with Custer Economic Development Corporation. And then we also worked with the Chamber of Commerce.
So our first main project was assessing the feasibility of a YMCA in Custer County. When we first got there, we had heard from a lot of citizens there that they kind of lacked in the recreation opportunities there. The rec center was a little outdated. We both got fobs to go there, and it worked well for what they had, but compared to other facilities, especially being students at the university, it was definitely a little bit less than, what we're used to and what younger people moving to the community are used to. And we also saw a huge need for childcare, which is something that the YMCA provides in communities. So kind of getting the best of both worlds, thinking YMCA, big picture, was kind of our best bet. So we first started with a little bit of research. We hosted some talks with the community. I think we had some sort of slogan. I don't remember what it was, but we went to local coffee shops, and we had some after hours at a local restaurant, and we just wanted the input of the community. We also did a feasibility study via survey. So we hosted those, and then we had a meeting with the CEO of the Kearney branch of the YMCA. So the YMCA doesn't give out new charters, so we would potentially be under the umbrella of Kearney's YMCA. So we met with, his name is Denny, and we had a group of people that we thought were main leaders in the community that could really get the fire started about this project. So we met with them, and then we actually went to tours for tours of Kearney, Gothenburg, and Lexington. Gothenburg being a very similar sized town that we could potentially base the Broken Bow YMCA off of. So our next steps, Denny is talking to his board, seeing after they're done with their capital campaign that they're working on, so in a year if they would be willing to put Broken Bow under their umbrella for a YMCA. So it was meet, greet, and visit, coffee with the interns. That was our slogan.
Okay, so not only did we work on the feasibility of a YMCA, but we had projects along with that working for the Chamber and the City Administration. We did business advertisement for Sturgis. So Broken Bow is right along Highway 2, so they get a lot of bike traffic in the weeks leading up to Sturgis and even after that. Broken Bow and Custer County have a lot to offer, and we really wanted to present that to the bikers as they came through. So doing a lot of research, we did a lot of calling, probably 30 or more calls to businesses up in the Sturgis area asking for partnerships. And we ended up pivoting and making a coupon card with the different businesses in Broken Bow, giving these really cool deals for the bikers when they swung through. We actually got in contact with Coca-Cola and a couple other companies, and they sent us banners and merchandise to hand out for bikers and to welcome bikers into town. And we got a lot of positive feedback from the community. They were actually very excited to see this happening, and they're excited for this to happen in the future too.
Kind of building off of that, we were in touch with the main radio station in Sturgis, and they were actually the ones who were willing to pass out the cards. So they are the radio station that they're on 24/7, so they give like the radio or the weather updates and the traffic updates for Sturgis. So at their booth they had our cards. So that was kind of the big plug for us to be able to get Broken Bow out. And we also, 2 days ago was it, we received a text that a person on the city council in Sturgis reached out to the Chamber of Commerce in Broken Bow asking, what's up with this? Can we learn more? We'd like to do more partnerships with you guys. So I think she was going to bring that to the city council in Sturgis, and I don't think we've heard back to see what the board has said yet about that and what they plan to do with it. But that was really exciting, seeing our legacy already building there.
So some of the other projects we worked on, I put together an LCC, which is a leadership certified community. And with that is a lot of research about the community, going through their different plans, surveys and whatnot, putting it all together, answering questions. And then that is finished right now. We're waiting on the lowest account to get finished to put in that, and then some letters of support from neighboring communities and different economic development entities for that to get finished.
While I was in the community, I was given the opportunity to write for the Custer County Chief. So I think I wrote 8 articles over various topics, one being the Custer County Fair Concert. And I was the 13th caller on K-Bear Country in Broken Bow, and I won meet and greet passes for the concert. So that's what that picture's from. But I did various articles, one being the mammoth remains that they're finding in Comstock. So I just kind of did an array of different things there.
And then one of the first projects that we actually got to work on when we got there that Friday of the first week, our boss was gone, so we went and spent the day with the city administration, and we did cold calls to TV advertisements around the community, around Nebraska, putting out this Live, Work, Play Broken Bow video on commercials. And then part of that was just going through what they sent us back to get the best deals and reach the most people that we could with our allotted budget.
I think that was something that neither one of us had really done, so I think we were a little bit nervous about that, but it was a really great thing to kind of put under our belt. Along with other projects, we did some volunteer hours as well. We worked at the visitor center, so when you drive into Broken Bow, there's this giant red barn kind of like in the middle of nowhere, and I remember moving there and being like, what is this? Because it's all decorated and it's beautiful out there, so we were able to spend some hours volunteering, kind of directing some of the people who came in. I think they were from Mississippi, a couple that we met. Yeah, they were looking for a place to camp, so just small things like that that we could kind of share. And Jessica worked with
4-H. I did a little bit of volunteering with 4-H. So kind of my so what or my takeaways was coming up with new ideas for projects. I'm part of the Angler program, so using that creativity and just being able to take these projects in ways that, since they weren't really thought of ahead of time, since the steering committee was only together for a week before we got there, we really got to take these projects in our own way. Career exploration, getting to tour some of the main ag companies around Broken Bow was really cool. They have a very big ag industry out there. And then collaborative relationship building with industry professionals was kind of part of that. And then I really had a new perspective. Like, I'm from a small town, and sometimes it's hard to see them as innovative, but going to a different small community, you can really take that away from like all smaller communities, all smaller rural areas, how they're innovating and trying new things. It was really cool.
So what, similar to Jessica, just career exploration. We got to try different things that we had never tried before and learn from people that we had never met before, and it gives you a complete different outlook on anything. I mean, going into economic development, I think if I hadn't gone and learned from Andrew and learned from the people of Broken Bow, I think I would have had a complete different opinion about it. Not saying I thought it was bad, but I think it would have just been a really overwhelming subject for me if I hadn't kind of narrowed it down there. And just like she said as well, starting a project from the ground up, it's so cool making your own ideas and putting them into real life, and I loved that aspect. Kind of taking the initiative again, just building a project from the ground up. Independence in the job site, just getting to pick what you thought was most important for the day and kind of going with it. I think all of us as Serviceship interns kind of learned that you have to prioritize what comes first and what's most important. So that was definitely a takeaway. And the relationships that I made in Broken Bow, I think will follow me throughout my whole career. I have a lot of people who can speak up for the things that both of us have done in Broken Bow, and just getting to write for the Custer County Chief, that was big. I'm a ag communications student, so journalism is a big part of that. So.
Yeah, so kind of talking about our legacy, the relationships that we made, a lot of people were very happy to see us in Broken Bow and the different things that we kind of accomplished when we were there. Andrew just texted us asking for our addresses because people wanted to send us thank yous, and they're excited to get interns in the future as well.
The lunch ladies at the hospital, we had a meal plan there, and they were even sad to see us go. They were giving us hugs and saying how much they liked us. So we are hoping that we left a legacy and sustainability with our projects. What we heard over and over again was that people in Broken Bow could have done what we did, but because we were able to solely work on those projects, we moved them far more forward than they would have gotten in 10 weeks of other people that have other full-time jobs. So hopefully having that be a sustainable project for them, and they can put like a little bit of effort here and there in to keep them moving forward.
And part of that, we left a trifold folder with the different contacts that we had. We shared stuff on Google Drive that we had just shared with each other so that our lead mentors have it and they don't lose any contacts or any ideas that we had over the summer.
Mm-hmm. When we had gotten to Broken Bow, we were doing some research and found that due dates for certain things were, beginning of May, end of April kind of thing. So we just barely missed them moving to the community, but we want to make sure that they knew about them as well moving forward. So, and that's about it.
Yeah. Is there any questions?
Great job. Wow, I'm just like blown away by everything that you've shared. I knew you were going to have an amazing experience because I know Andrew's wife. So when you know someone's wife, you can tell a lot about the man, right? So I knew you were going to have a great experience, but wow, I'm blown away by what you've just shared with us in terms of what you've learned, what you've taken away, and your legacy. Questions?
I'll just ask the first one. You were placed in a rather unique situation, learning maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before exactly where you were going. Coupled with the fact that your mentor was new to the community, it sounds like you more than hit the ground running. How do you believe you and Andrew were able to do that in order to get so much accomplished this summer?
I would say the fresh eyes that we all brought. I think we were really excited to get started, and a lot of times I think community members who have lived in a certain area for a long time don't really notice the things that need to change because it's just always been that way, and sometimes they would prefer it to just stay the same way. So 3 of us being able to come in and just get things started, I think was our greatest asset in that.
Along with that, as Andrew was meeting people, we were meeting them right along with him, and it was kind of cool, especially since he had gone through the RFI internship a couple years prior to us, so that was pretty cool.
Okay, so you were in a community that was really bombed by the ag crisis back in the 80s, and it's maybe had 2 of those big downturns, and a community that's had really an amazing renaissance. I'm curious what you may have seen there that said, oh, I get that. I understand why they were able to do that. And what kind of resistance did you feel to, you talked about resistance to change some. Tell us a little bit more about the resistance that you felt and what you think the community's capacity is for overcoming that.
Coming from, I guess we're both kind of from an ag background, but really looking around at the ag industry, such as like Adams and Thomas, they're both very innovative. They're always researching and trying to do things differently. We got tours of both of them, and it was just cool to see how the hog and cattle industry has come around there. I think a lot of their farmers are very innovative, looking for ways to keep doing better, and try not to get hit by crises like that. And I think they were able to come back from that just because of how innovative they are, how willing they are to change, and to make things better. A little bit with the resistance side, we had certain members of the community tell us that, sometimes things are better left unchanged, you know. And I think those people maybe just weren't as open to the ideas. Maybe it was going to cost them money, you know.
Also, I think it was kind of an awareness thing. People who don't understand that the younger generation has certain needs, and they're going to look for those needs when they move to a new community. There's generations that maybe don't realize that if this community has this over this one, then they're going to go to the one that has the amenities that they want. Especially with, technology and being able to work from wherever you are. They're not necessarily moving because of a job, they're moving because of the community and the assets. So really breaking through that barrier and allowing generations to know that you need to keep progress in a community to continue to get younger generations in. In the short time that we were there, we never met a ton of younger people, and that's what Broken Bow is really trying to enhance, is the amenities that are going to draw the younger generation in.
Great job. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Thanks.